The wind cut through the quiet autumn street, scattering yellow leaves across cracked sidewalks and whispering against the faded brick walls of a forgotten neighborhood. Officer Daniel Brooks had been on the force for 12 years, but nothing in his career, no crime scene, no accident, no desperate 911 call had prepared him for the sight that froze him in his tracks that morning. Ahead, under the canopy of golden leaves, a tiny figure moved slowly, her bare feet pressing against the cold pavement. She couldn't have been more than 5 years old, her tangled blonde hair clinging to tear-streaked cheeks. In one hand, she gripped a torn plastic bag stuffed with empty bottles and scraps of trash. But what stopped him cold was the makeshift sling across her small chest. An old blue t-shirt knotted at her shoulder, holding a sleeping baby so tiny its head fit perfectly beneath her chin. The baby's face was pale, lips dry, as if even its dreams were weary. Daniel's heartbeat slowed, the world blurring at the edges. He had seen poverty before. He had seen children on the margins, but never like this. Never a child carrying another life as if she were both sister and mother, scavenging for survival while the world looked away. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of one moment to change a life forever, please take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kinnis Corner, so we can keep telling stories that remind the world there's still good out there. And drop a comment with just one word, hope, to let us know you're with us. Daniel had been responding to a minor call nearby. Someone reported a suspicious figure near the park dumpsters. He had expected to find perhaps a vagrant or teenagers causing mischief. Instead, he found this fragile picture of desperation that hit harder than any crime he'd ever confronted. The little girl was moving slowly, stooping to pick up a half-crushed soda can before slipping it into the bag. Her movements were mechanical, practiced as if this had been her life for a long time. Her shirt was faded and 2 sizes too big, the collar hanging off one shoulder, revealing a thin frame beneath. The baby in the sling stirred slightly, a small whimper escaping before it nestled deeper into her chest. Daniel noticed the girl's lips were chapped, her cheeks flushed from the cold, and something in his chest twisted painfully. This was not just hunger or poverty. This was abandonment. She didn't see him at first, too focused on spotting anything in the gutter she could sell for a few coins. And when she finally looked up, the fear in her eyes was like a wall slamming shut. Those wide brown eyes scanned him quickly. Uniform, badge, gun, and she froze, her hand tightening on the plastic bag. Daniel realized instantly she wasn't just scared of strangers, she was scared of authorities. He had seen that look before in foster kids who had been shuffled from place to place, who had learned to expect that adults in power meant separation, loss, and more pain. He stayed a few feet away, crouching slightly, not wanting to loom over her. He didn't call out right away. Instead, he watched her small frame tremble slightly as a gust of wind rattled the branches overhead. The baby's breathing was shallow, but steady. In that quiet stretch of street, the sound of falling leaves seemed louder than anything else. Daniel thought of his own daughter, 6 years old, safe at home, probably watching cartoons in their warm living room. The contrast was like ice in his veins when he finally asked her name. Her voice was so soft he almost didn't hear it. It wasn't just the words that cut deep. It was the way they carried the weight of a story too heavy for a child to bear. She explained in halting phrases that she and the baby, her brother, had been living behind the old laundromat for weeks. Their mother had gone to find food and hadn't come back. That had been 3 nights ago. She had been trying to take care of her brother, feeding him scraps she could find, wrapping him in whatever cloth she could scavenge to keep him warm. And now she was collecting bottles because she had heard someone say, you could trade them for money. Daniel felt his throat tighten until it was almost hard to breathe. The more she spoke, the more he understood this wasn't just a tragic moment. This was a crisis unfolding in slow motion, and every minute mattered. The baby needed warmth, food, and medical attention. The little girl needed safety and someone to finally step in before the streets claimed her, too. But Daniel also knew this. If he handled this wrong, if he made the wrong move, she could run. And if she ran, there was no telling if he would find her again. He made a choice right then. He wouldn't approach this as a police officer dealing with a situation. He would approach it as a father, as a human being who refused to walk away. So instead of reaching for his radio immediately, he reached into his own coat pocket and pulled out the granola bar he kept there for long shifts. He unwrapped it slowly and held it out, not moving closer. The girl hesitated, eyes darting between him and the bar before taking a single cautious step forward. And that was how it began. The first fragile thread of trust in a tangle of fear and uncertainty. What Daniel didn't know in that moment was that her next words, spoken after the first bite of food, after the first sigh of relief, would haunt him for the rest of his life. They would shatter his heart in a way that no amount of training could shield him from. And they would set into motion a chain of events that would change not just her life and her baby brother's, but his own. Sometimes the most extraordinary acts of kindness don't come from people with endless resources, but from those who simply refused to look away. That police officer could have walked past, treated it as another case file, another sad story in a long career. But he didn't. He chose to step in to become the difference between despair and hope for a little girl and her baby brother. And that choice changed everything. In a world that often feels rushed, distracted, and self-absorbed, remember this. A single act of compassion can be the turning point in someone's life. You don't have to solve every problem or fix every broken thing. Sometimes you just have to show up, care, and not walk away. This story is more than just a moment between strangers. It's a reminder that humanity still exists. That love can grow from the unlikeliest places, and that sometimes the family we find can be stronger than the one we lose. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kinless Corner. And before you go, tell us in the comments what's the kindest thing you've ever witnessed. Your words might inspire someone else to change a life.